and didn't know about systems like this that worked to help those who was incarcerated wrongfully. And so I really appreciate what you guys do for so many people. It's amazing. I grew up in Compton, California. I grew up
A lot of our cases coming out of Compton. Sorry, Michael.
I didn't have a father, you know, so, and I was raised around a mother and two sisters. So I didn't have that example, that male example. How can a man be a man unless he see a man? So the men that I seen was the men that was up and down the block, and those were the decisions that I made according to those examples. Those decisions led me to becoming involved in gangs, becoming involved in drugs. And at the time, I didn't see nothing wrong with it. This is what everybody's done, just be successful at that. That's what my mindset told me. But it led to continuous criminality, just trying to fit in, just trying to be a part of, just trying to prove that I wasn't soft. I didn't have no brothers and no father. So I went through that identity crisis for a long time in my life. It led to, again, getting incarcerated so many times that I was sentenced under the 3 strikes law. Turned out that particular case, I was innocent with that case. You know, it was a possession case. I wasn't in possession of anything. But when I was found guilty, I didn't know how to go about proving my innocence. I didn't have a high school diploma. I didn't have any idea of it. You know, education was something I didn't draw in my life. So finally, I got to the point where I realized that there's no one right now that can help me. You know, and I couldn't call moms on that one. You know, I had to figure that one out for myself. And honestly, I just got on my knees and I asked God to give me an understanding. And the first thing that came to me was you have to accept responsibility for the things you've done in your life that puts you where you are today. And you have to forgive those who have wrongfully harmed you along the way. And once I did that, I started going to the law library. And I started reading cases and reading cases and reading cases. But I seen a beautiful woman that's on TV doing the commentary. And I seen her and she sounded so smart. And I was like, wow, I need to get to know her. So I wrote down her name, and I wrote down the University, Loyola, and I went to the law library, got the address, and I wrote a letter. And I'd asked if she knew if her class could take my case or what have you, but because of the time of the semester, that was impossible. And because of the deadlines that I had to reach, I had to do something immediately. So, but what she did offer was so much assistance as far as, because when you go to the law library in prison, you open up books, and pages are always missing. You can't check out the books, it's such a hard thing to deal with that. And but she provided me things that I needed to be able to fulfill the, the legal requirements. So I continued to fight. I filed a writ of habeas corpus. I filed a writ of quorum nobis. I filed a writ of quorum bovis to address the errors in the record. And it was a while. I stayed down 9 years actually, going back and forth in the courts. And I amended my petition about 2 or 3 times. Every time a new case I seen came up, I filed a amended petition. Judge, can you take judicial notice? Over and over, I stayed working. My cell floor was covered with paperwork and legal mail and everything. It turned out that finally I got, the officer came to my door and he said, we have legal mail for you. And when he said that, I looked at the mail and it was thick. I said, this gotta be the answer. Because the magistrate recommended that I be dismissed with prejudice. And she used cases that would really didn't.
That would mean he would lose.
Yeah.
That his habeas would be dismissed.
Dismissed, and she didn't want me to even take it to another level. Not even to if I lost at that point, not even take it to another level of prejudice. But the Honorable Judge Letts saw it differently. And when I got the paperwork, they said you really habeas corpus, and there's one word that was bolded, it was capitalized, and it said granted. And tears began to flow down my eyes, extremely. And I sat there and I said, wow, it's over. But then after that was over, I didn't know what happens now, So finally they called me after a couple of weeks and sent me back for resentencing at the courthouse down in Los Angeles, CCB. And when I got down there and they released me from the court, and I didn't know about emails, I didn't know about those type of things at the time. And my sister helped me set up an email, and all of a sudden an email pops up. How did this happen? And it said United States District Court. I was like, wow. I thought it was over with, right? I got kind of nervous, so I started beating. And it turned out that I was invited to meet Judge Letts. And he wanted to make sure that I understood the magnitude of what just happened to me. He wanted to make sure I didn't just get released out there into society, lost, confused, and just destroy the opportunity that he gave me, or that I had. And so when I got out there, I had a lot of struggles. So I ended up going to the judge's chambers and we had lunch. And that was one of the most amazing meetings I ever had in my life. You know, I walked in there and really was so much, concern and compassion, and we sat there and we talked and we talked and we talked, and at that point the relationship was found. And one thing I seen in him is like, again, I was raised without a father, but I seen a male giving me some guidance. And even though I was an adult person, an adult male, I didn't have that guidance before, and I needed that so much in my life. He was able to see things in me that I couldn't see in myself. And he stayed with me and walked the path with me. And so I started saying, you're right, it is there. I do see it myself. And as I continued matter of fact, he had asked me to, if we would go to LA High and talk to some of the youth and reach out to the youth in a way of letting them know that from my experiences and the mistakes that I've made, that encourage them they don't have to make those mistakes. The circumstances that you see before your eyes is not the real reality. There's something over that wall. And I went with him, we went to LA High and I spoke to the youth, and that's when I knew that was my calling, that was my passion. And it gave purpose to all the mistakes that I had made in my life. I said, if I can learn from those mistakes, then I can reach out to help somebody else, and it makes those mistakes worth it. And that's why I commend again what you guys do, because when people are incarcerated, especially for a long period of time, that's the most fertile ground for change. Because they want a chance to do it right. They want a chance to do things right, because sometimes they made mistakes along the way. So it turned out that I still had struggles that I had to deal with that I didn't know how to address. I still had drug issues that I had to deal with, had things of that sort. I didn't know how to really function in society, quote unquote, normally. So I had to try to learn all that. The judge was so patient, he walked through that with me. As a matter of fact, I had a relapse. And when I had a relapse, I ended up on Skid Row. And the judge was looking for me like, where's he at, where's he at? And believe it or not, Judge Letts walked down Skid Row with my picture saying, have you seen my friend? And when I heard that, that touched me so much. My mother told me that I had to try to find something in myself to get away from what I was doing to get back. Because I didn't want to jeopardize his safety or doing nothing like that. But to know that somebody cared that much, maybe I'm worthy to be cared for. Maybe I should care for myself a little bit more now. So then I moved on and I started working with the Dream Center. I went to the program at the Dream Center actually. And when I went to the program at the Dream Center, I wanted help. I just wanted help. I wanted help. And in the process of that, I ended back up on parole. I ended up on probation again. So when I arrived at the Dream Center, I arrived there for the program and I was on both probation and parole. But I wanted change so bad. I wanted change. And it got to the point where I just felt something deep inside me say, even though you were sent to the Dream Center to do a year violation of probation and a year violation of parole, you're gonna discharge both of those before you finish the year. Now that don't make sense. How do you discharge parole and probation before you finish the violation? But it so happened that I went to court. My parole officer called me and said, man, you've been doing so good. They're gonna take you off parole early. The next month, I went to a progress report at the court for probation. And they said, hey, the judge said, we wasn't expecting this from you. You've changed so dramatically. What can the court do for you? I said, well, Your Honor, if you can take me off probation early, that would be really cool. And he said, you know what? We're gonna take you off probation. And they took me off probation and parole. And I promised the judge, I said, you know what? I'm gonna finish this program. I'm gonna stay here and finish it because I made a commitment and I told you I want to change. So I finished the program and I came back, and I just came back to the court on my own regard and told the judge, hey, I'm here, can I just see you real quick? I just want to show you I graduated, I finished, and I'm staying. So I stayed longer and I started a program at the Dream Center called the Dream Center Mentoring Program. And we was focused on mentoring children of incarcerated parents. Through my past experience, I was glad to just reach out to kids that may be going in the same direction I was going in and catching them early. Understanding the ages, stages, the circumstances, the situations that lead them from the front door to the front school door to want to join gangs, want to do drugs and drop out of school and what have you. So we started a class and we started doing that, and that went really well. And at this point now, I have a foundation called Each One Reach One Teach One that I'm birthing and raising, and it's doing the same thing, but it's basically training adults how to reach out to the kids. I feel like I can reach more kids if I reach more adults, and they can branch out and reach the kids. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm really excited again about the things that's happening right now in my life as well as far as school. I'm going to school to be a paralegal. I'm going to school for paralegal studies at Everest Just say Everest, not Loyola. And, you know, going for my AA degree, and I really want to get involved in that. I love the law, I love being a part of it, I love being a part of positive change. And I feel that would also hold, it would also be something really good to support when I present myself to these youth. Let them know you can come from